Hello! So today I'm going to be talking about Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukafka, the final book I'm reading in this kind of literary crime thriller vibe I've been on. The three books I've read are Penance, Carla, and of course the subject of this review, Notes on an Execution. Spoiler alert everybody, this one's my favourite. So what's it about? Notes on an Execution offers an intricately unravelling narrative surrounding Ansel Packer. Ansel Packer is a serial killer awaiting his imminent execution. The novel toggles between two timelines. The first timeline is the day of his execution, and each chapter we get with Ansel is the countdown across that day towards his execution. The other timeline is the sprawling story of his life, and it leads all the way up to present day, the day of his execution. The timeline that leads up to Ansel's execution, we follow a variety of women who are within Ansel's orbit. These range from his mother, Lavender, Hazel, the twin sister of Ansel's wife, and Saffy, a determined homicide detective. Throughout these different perspectives, the novel navigates an intricate web of choices and consequences leading up to tragedy, highlighting the impact of these individual choices and the destruction and trauma it leaves in its path on individuals and communities. This novel is asking readers to contemplate the trauma left behind by acts of violence, and at the same time is offering a poignant exploration of the human condition. So there you go, that's the kind of blurb, that's sort of what this book is about. So what did I like and what didn't I like? So what I liked, and this is a bit like the main thing that I liked in Penance, is that this novel is able to dive into our kind of cultural obsession with serial killers. But at the same time, it is doing a fantastic job of exploring the nuances of the serial killer archetype. When we think of serial killers, both real and fictional, they always have this thing about them, and they always kind of have this aura and presence around them. They are sort of lifted up into kind of celebrity status, and what this novel is doing, it is painting a portrait of a man who is quite ordinary. This novel is forcing the reader to understand that these are just violent men. We shouldn't be lifting them up to this sort of famous celebrity status. It is just an horrible, hateful man who committed acts of violence because he could, and there is nothing special about him. That is what this novel is striving to do, and for the most part, I would say it's very, very successful. The second thing I really loved about this novel is its departure from the conventional thriller tropes. By focusing on the women within Ansel's life or within his orbit, we get a much different perspective. It is so much more focused on their experiences, their trauma, and the effects of his actions. It just made the novel so much more impactful and also really helps towards pushing the novel's aims. The next thing I really enjoyed about this novel is its structure and its balance. It is weaving together multiple timelines, jumping backwards and forwards to Ansel, then to the women surrounding him, and the way that builds for a grand narrative. It is doing all those things, and it is doing it expertly. And if you watch my past review on the novel Carla, I really enjoyed that novel, but the thing it was lacking was a real fine-tuned balance between the literary fiction aspects and the kind of mystery thriller aspects. Whereas this novel is blending both of those things perfectly. I also think this novel is doing a great job at capturing the grief that can be caused by these acts of violence and the many different ways that manifests within the characters we are following. Again, it is just so well balanced, so finely tuned. It is really it has been edited perfectly. It is not a page longer than it needs to be. Yeah, just all of that stuff is done so well. Alongside its nuanced storytelling, we are also getting richly developed characters. I found the characters in this book really thought-provoking, and just like Penance, I think this book is doing an excellent job of exploring society's fascination with darkness, with extremity, with pain, with serial killers, with violence. It's just putting it in our face and allowing us to really think about the impact of these things that we seem to enjoy and ignore the trauma that it has left in real human beings. And the final thing I really liked about this novel, and I've talked about it already, but I will repeat, is that I just really enjoyed how this novel is pushing away from conventional thriller tropes. The simple choice to focus on the women within Ansel's life makes this so much more than your normal literary thriller. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is still very much without a doubt a novel about Ansel, but yeah, that simple shift in focus does so much. What didn't I like? Right, so as much as this novel is trying to step away from the conventional thriller tropes, quite successfully, I would say, there are still a few things within this novel that hit very familiar beats. They're only very small things, but things that did make an impact on me because this novel in so many other areas had done such a great job of subverting or stepping away from everything I was expecting. And it all comes down to Ansel as a character and the way that he is portrayed and brought to life. When you think of a serial killer, the very famous ones, both fictional and real, they have some things that they always seem to have in common. They're either very, very charming, able to manipulate people very, very easily, or they're very, very attractive and women are drawn towards them, or they're incredibly smart and they are able to avoid and manipulate the police or manipulate people extremely easily because of how intelligent they are. Now, this novel isn't overtly doing that. As I said, it gets it mostly right. It does talk often about how actually he thinks he's smarter than he actually is, but it still does talk about how charming he is and how attractive he is, especially in the earlier stages of the book. Right, everybody, it's been a pretty tough working week for me. 7:30 a.m. starts, 9:30 p.m. finishes, Monday through to Friday. I'm absolutely knackered. And you've got upcoming some pretty disgusting edits. They are terrible. However, I could have gone back and re-recorded them. I really could have, but I just don't have the strength. I really want to enjoy the rest of my Saturday. So all I can do is apologise for the very bad edits that are coming up very soon. And I don't know, for me, a book that's trying to force us to understand that these men who commit these horrific acts of violence are just average people, and we should stop thinking of them as these very attractive, very smart, mystical sort of people. I felt like the novel mentioning the fact that he was very charming and very attractive and had this way about him just brought me back into those familiar tropes. And there's a few of these small little things scattered all the way throughout this novel. Another example, another small one, would be the idea that childhood trauma has a massive effect on the way these men act and what they do in their lives. And I know psychological studies have proven this, but then psychological studies have also proven the opposite. And again, when you read these kind of conventional thriller tropes, it normally involves the child having some sort of horrific upbringing that has led them to be the way they are. Now, this novel, it isn't that horrific what happens to Ansel, but there is still trauma there, and it seems to be sort of like layering in the idea that this trauma has caused him to be the way that he is. And that also felt like a very familiar trope that I've read before. So it was just those few little things that were kind of taking away from what was making this book so special. But that's it for my dislikes. That really is it. I thought this book was excellent. I really, really enjoyed it. And it's just those few things that are bringing it down. So I am going to give it 4 stars out of 5. It is excellent. And out of the 3 books that I've read, the kind of literary mystery thrillers that I've read recently, this is without a doubt the best one. If you are looking for a book with a very focused writing style, excellent structuring / narrative build, along with a really thought-provoking theme and ideas at the backbone of it, then yeah, this is definitely a novel you want to pick up. So, have you read Notes on an Execution? And if you have, what did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying whatever you might be reading, and I hope you're well, and I'll see you all on the next one.